Well, hello everyone. Here, show you right here the digital go, and this right here, talks about right here my graduation right here, and there are many what you call factors, such as to where talk about for GPA scores and about for any students that you're wondering to where that yeah, when are you due to graduate? If you're in school, if you're a student. And people may ask you constantly about number of questions. One of those will be toward it. Yeah, well, compared to when you're going back to school, when you're going to get a job, when are you due to graduate, what's your major? And at the time, I do wonder, Tor, why is it the question is not really too much about what you're majoring in, how well that you're doing. A lot of times, it's about when are you due to graduate. And I just really think, though, that the question should be is about the major compared to if there was going to be what you call any graduation dates, because just think about it to where how long ago did I started, how long ago did I started, and as well as for anything that for how well I'm doing, compared to we say if anybody say that yeah, if you've been enrolled in school for already over 2 years and people are just constantly asking you about when you're going to be due to graduate. But I have right here drawn right here is an example right here of like a little coloring sketch, and I have right here is my Photoshop work right here for digital design. So if anybody will warrant or that yeah, that they've asked me a number of times as to where when are you going to be due to graduate. They just they asked you at least maybe 10 times, out of the 3 months or something like that, maybe altogether about maybe 175 times a year, at least 175 times a year for when am I going to be due to graduate. And I usually tell them it's like, let's see what happens, see how I do. But then the date that I have set, of course, that I had been saying for already close to already a year is by 2018. So since I've been saying this date, it just seems like to where that people are constantly telling me about that you're due to graduate, you're coming up on your last class, or something about about credit, it's like grants or anything like that. So you're like if anybody warns us to where that well, why are people putting the pressure on these students about whenever they are due to graduate, whenever that maybe that they could be concerned about other matters. One of those will be is like for like digital go, and this idea actually I came up with to talk about for digital go, and that I can maybe name a few definitions for digital go. And what this digital go is that for anything that's used to where anything that we may think about as to where that like between autographs or any type of it's like certain topics, and then this right here for like super intelligence. So let's just say that if anybody warns us to where if you want to be a writer, or maybe I don't know if there's what you call this degree, such as maybe a speech artist, speech artist, to where that you're going to be what you call in a meeting with about maybe a group of 37 clients, and then you start talking about something, and then that just whatever that you're doing, it's not going to be using no paper. It's going to be using like a certain device. And for like digital go, basically means is that yeah, according to my definition, the way I phrase it is to where that's something that don't take any longer than 3 days to learn, something that's very quick and convenient, and is that if it's going to be easy to know for teaching other people about how it works as well, and just kind of an idea about a little bit about my major as well as anything that's going to be digital. And so if anybody wonders where, yeah, that you may have seen it about those digital clocks, but you're like Warren to where we have not really seen a walking clock or whichever you call it. But I tell you one thing that with this idea for digital go, that talk about for graduating student, and for 2018, what do we think that we would see on the stores shelves within the next 2 years from now? And some that may think that, yeah, that I don't know if there's what you call this digital coffee maker, but then on your hand, that, anything that's going to be digital, but still that the things that, that I would expect to see also is to where that, yeah, that anything about, for graduating students, anything that was like allow it to where we can gain experience, where we kind of check out new products and stuff. But still, that anything that I kept thinking about is to where anything about for 2018 and with the year 2018 that it'll probably say be after the elections and if there's going to be another election going on or some sort. But I constantly do get tired of it's like people it's like thinking about as to where that right around tax season of 2018 and think about for how everything's going with that also. But still, that looking at this graduating, I know like when I say think about is to where that if anybody will warrant toward it, when am I going to be due to graduate? And sometimes I tell them that well I just started. Since I just started, I'm not too worried about or maybe I don't have the income right away just to be able to which call receive my certificate, or if it's anything related to the fact about that you didn't earn enough credits, you didn't earn enough grants or anything like that. But right here is I'll go ahead and color in a little bit of green right here, just press here as a photo. But let's just say that if anybody will warrant or that what exactly are people looking for whenever they constantly keep asking you about what you call graduation? And sometimes it seems like I don't know if it has anything to do with maybe a engagement or if it's anything about maybe promotions on a job or some sort. But I guess at their question maybe be as to where that do you have more time later on? And it seems like that's what the question's all about. Do you have time later on in the year to get together, to have dinner, maybe to meet at the park, whichever it is? Do you have more time later on in the year? When are you going to be due to graduate? Or, hey, I'd like to know a little bit more what you do, so when are you going to be due to graduate? So that's just a thing that people, whenever they ask, if you're talking about maybe out of a year that I probably met about at least maybe about 32 people who have asked me about, when are you going to be due to graduate, Matthew? And like, I am just going to take my time because, I know that whenever I started, graduation day seemed like it was 3 years away. And for whatever reason, I keep thinking that, it basically, it seems like it's 3 years away. What's the reason why it seems like it's 3 years away? Because number one, I started not too long ago. And number two, depending on how well I do, how many classes I need to take just to be able to earn enough credits to graduate, and how the teachers and how I do, during the class courses. So that's just a thing that while I'm going to school, it seems like to where people are not just really asking you about as to where that, that when are you going to be done with it? But still, that I guess it's like, think about as to where that, any general information, if they find out, oh, you're a student, but then they don't ask you too much of time what your major is, or, they don't really ask you too much of time about how many classes you've taken, or do they offer you grants and scholarships? And what about student loans? And how about this fact about the student ID and talk about for like Digital Go is that if Digital Go could be like an account, and I know that I was going to do a video tonight, talking about for another gold monument, but I can also talk a little bit about that on this video too. I talk about for graduating students, because I can tell anybody here that for being a student before I was even a student, that I've had accounts, and if anybody will warrant to where that basically what are accounts, and I can include this right here. And this is not no game of blackjack or nothing like that or bingo, but still, that if you want to call it maybe the perfect score is like for bingo, but see for accounts, and go ahead and make that just a little bit bigger. But you have right here talking about accounts. So if anybody wanted to where that like accounts, I can include that right here, and then go ahead and change the color a little bit right there. But for accounts, what are accounts? And if anybody warns us toward that, yeah, whenever you are a student to complete like a financial aid form, or if it's anything else, savings account, bank account, or anything like that, or if it's going to be any other type of accounts, that why is it that we have them, and then what are they a good example for? And I know I didn't include all the examples in this video that I was, if you want to call it like for any movie sequel or anything, but let's just say that any activity that I was going to include, I was also thinking about wallet, the example right here of like electronic wallet, but for any type of accounts that we're going to be having after or before we graduate. And do we look at that as like an office? And I know, like with me though, is that this right here, that this right here would be example right here of me right here, if I were to be what you call standing for honor, that with me with the American flag right there. That's like what you call like a source of ID, a source of identification for who I am, and then what I went to school for, and knowing about anything artistic that I did on Photoshop, and working right here with Illustrator, but still, that when we think about accounts, I'm talking about that, right now, as of today, that I have like over 22 accounts. This includes financial aid, and it also includes, taxes. It also includes like any other type of account, such as for profiles on social media. It also includes anything about budgeting the finances. And no, I don't have any account. I'm not really aware of any account about being a registered voter. So if anybody will warrant or that if you had an account, and so you had these different accounts, and if anybody here has ever used a cash register or a calculator, that I kept thinking about if it's like more like a binder. And if we want to use like a count to where if anybody wants to where it's like a variety of things, whenever you get signed into an account, that basically that you have access to a number of things, and your payment history, if you're going to be working with a credit card, or maybe if it's going to be mortgage payments, or if it's anything else, paying your bills online, or updating information about clarifying about your connections with other people that you know with the work field. So accounts could maybe more likely mean a number of things. So after we graduate, it just seems like, yeah, like with me though, before I graduated, I had these accounts. So it's like, I did not have all the specific training that maybe that some people probably say that maybe that you need to have. So just to do this, I could maybe call it maybe something like Digital Go, because that it was basically toward that you pretty much trained yourself. You pretty much trained in your own time, that you got in practice from your home devices just to be able to use a lot of stuff. And if there was any questions, you go and call the tech supporters. They'll be able to walk you through for anything that you need to do. And then plus, if you say, well, what if you get locked out? And then you would need to call you for assistance as well. I don't know if there's anything that such as other than that you'll wait about 4 hours, and then it'll automatically lock. You'll automatically unlock it, so that you reset the login, so that way you can get logged back in, signed back in. But anyway, but talk about for like a college graduate. And people constantly keep bothering me about as to where when am I going to be due to graduate. And I just really think as to where that, a student like me who's been out of school for already over 10 years, and I'm just gradually trying to get my education back, back on season, back on track. And people like wanted to after about a year, even summer break and then spring break. You didn't get no summer break or spring break. So what's going on with that, Matthew? We are tired. We're worried that you're going to get burnt out. Well, guess what? I enjoy what I'm learning, especially with my artwork. And I tell you one thing, that after so many years of managing it to our profile, and if anybody will warrant to it, really about what one thing maybe do I get burnt out over, and one of those will be as toward it, maybe I do get burnt out over problems, but still that, I try to manage it as well. So I just really think that some people, more I could say this bright intelligence, we're going to probably say, is to where that they want to buy more of your time at some point. They want to see how much time, if you're going to have more time later on, to say is to where that, yeah, we want to offer you a job. When is this classwork going to get off of your schedule so that way we can know about when you're next available next time to participate in this next activity. We want you to get in the band. We want you to do something for us, whichever it is. But I could probably say is to where that, yeah, that I kept thinking about is to where if I were to pick a day of, within about 5 years or so, within the 5 years, and like if most of us have seen, talk about for the gold monument for this digital go, is that with me right here is that this right here would be example right here at my ID right here, and along right here is that this drawing right here I painted and drawed, and I was going to use Photoshop work with this right here, but you have right here, this was right here was me right here, and I talk about for accounts that this right here would be example right here of me whenever if I were to be graduating, and graduating, and maybe by then, and I would maybe have my bachelor's degree, but still, that you know, people tend to ask if it's going to be food stamps, or if it's going to be employment, or if it's going to be anything about Social Security benefits. They constantly ask me about school, and I know that they don't really ask too much details about what the major is, and maybe that the question should be about GPA score, how well did you do in it, and then maybe about the grade book, other than about the fact about as to where when are you going to be due to graduate, and some like this, like in what does it matter, and they may think as to where that according to their calculations is that that find out, well, if you're a student, oh, okay, well, your school's not done with, over is not over for your schedule yet. We want to know what's going on in your daily schedule, and if it's going to be work or school or whichever. And I know that with me, though, that I usually say is to where by 2018 is when I'm going to be due to graduate. But until I'm told some of the other news about you're going to be due to graduate later on in the fall or next year, but still, that with me though, that only being a part-time student, if anybody say that even if you're full-time, that just think about when are you going to be due to graduate. And I wonder to where the same thing with the accounts. And if anybody say that when are you going to close that account, like you know, is that your job to ask questions? And people may wonder, is that really, is that your job to ask questions? Questions, are these questions just gathering up clues to where you just want to kind of get curious and get nosy about what's going on with my case, whichever it is? So that's why that if anybody asks, it's like, yeah, that we're not talking about a game of blackjack here or bingo or maybe go fish. I'm like, yeah, that, we're like we're into about accounts. So what's the reason to why people have them? And I keep thinking as to where that, yeah, that, what do you have to say about that? Well, maybe that people that, whoever that's confident, that they feel very comfortable with having access to the online sites, especially at home, that they are able to manage their finances as well as check for updates. So it's basically like a manager. If you want to look at it like like a a folder, like an electronic manager. If you want to call it like the digital go. By me or something like that. If you want to call it digital go by me. And I can also, I'm like, yeah, if anybody asks me to write that, I'm like, really, I'm running out of space here just to be able to write all these notes. But I can go ahead and include right here for, yeah, by me. So I'm like, yeah, if anybody wanted to where it, digital go by me. And so if anybody, see here, that, I'll go ahead and, right here, go ahead and see here. See if I can correct that. See here, by, it says by me. Okay, see how that goes. But anyway, I just yeah, I tend to warn to where that yeah, that for anything about that managing online accounts and yeah, that running out of space here. Yeah, I didn't include all that writing space just for everybody to see right here, but I'll go ahead and, but anyway, but that's just the thing about, for any graduating students that, for anything about accounts though, is anything that you're going to be managing by you, it's like, by me for Digital Go. And so that's why that, if anybody wanted to where that, yeah, that, anything that you're going to be maybe doing online or, online could be an optional way of how to get stuff done. And it's like, at the time, you're like Warren to where, well, it's got to get done no matter if it's your favorite outfit or what you call, if anybody say, yeah, not everybody likes to take medicine, especially whenever they're sick. Not everybody's going to like to get sick and have to take medicine, then they're not going to like it to where they can't have they can't have the candy bar. They have to eat something else that they don't really like too much. And was it something else? It could also maybe mean something, if you want to say, if you want to think, name anything that maybe that anybody will probably say that is not considered their favorite. It's like if it's going to maybe be tomato juice or something like that. But anyway, that some people like and some people don't. But let's just say that like tomato juice or anything like that. But anything that maybe that somebody may not like, and it's like, well, there may be some things that maybe you don't like, but then you might, maybe doctor's orders. But on your hand, that with this, this Digital Go for graduating, student though, it's like, by the year 2018, that I say that a lot is about, for my, years of education, like with about most of my goals. Most of my goals will be set, by year 2018 and kind of see what happens by the year 2018, and that's a way to celebrate or so for my whenever my birthday comes around the corner. And so that's why that I usually say that. So some people that may weren't, or that at one time that you said that you were going to be graduating in 2005. Oh, well, wait a minute, you were going to be gaining some credits in 2005. And then by 2016 that you said something else about your education. One of those was going to be about as to where that you were going to be maybe setting some goals about as to where maybe earning some grant, you're saving some more money up and maybe opening up an account, for maybe some investments or something like that. I might say I didn't say that. What I said was is working hard on it, and plus, try to take classes one thing at a time. So if anybody will want to where give a person a hard time about something, but on your hand too, talk about for like this Digital Go stuff, is that with me though that whenever I think about this digital stuff, this digital work, is that basically what I mean is to where that a lot of the work that I'm doing which goes from paper. Not all of it is paper, but a lot of it is using this source of file work. If it goes by measured by pixels as well as designs and programs. So a lot of it is using files of information. And I could probably say is to where that yeah, some of it is by paper too, but then if we're going to be viewing it by PDF file, but on your hand, that with any type of accounts, that some people that may have them just to get away from the paper data. From the paper database, for anything related to paper prints or anything printed, for anything that requires any sorts of paper documents. They say it's like it saved trees, but still that, I don't know. There may not be no guarantee it's going to save time. People may say that it could take up to 4 days for somebody to get what they need just because that the fact about whenever the internet sites starts working again or any technical support that needs to be worked out and managed and solved, whichever. But on your hand, for like the accounts by me. And it's basically that for whenever you have an account, that some people that may say is to her, is it just like taking out a board game and solving a few ways of how to like a checkerboard. And I know like with anybody that if they play chess or checkers that they say is to where compared to an account compared to playing a game of chess or checkers. And you're like, Warren Tour, do you have any players whenever you're logged on? And you're like, not really. Players? This is not no game. I'm like, but still, that you don't really have players whenever you're logged on. What do you have? You're basically that you have like documents, you have like bill status as well as any other updates. And if you want to call it like an electronic folder, like a binder, an electronic binder is to where that a lot of the things that you're working on is going digital. And this basically means is to where that your information is saved, is provided to you in a different way compared to like anything about paper to printed documents or anything like that. So if anybody wants to where that, for a number of accounts that most of us do have nowadays, and that includes like what you call maybe paying a bill or maybe receiving a statement or maybe that, anything about, Social Security paperwork or anything like that, anything like identification. I don't really know if they're doing it with the driver's license nowadays, but if they're going to have something such as for Digital Go related to a driver's license or car insurance, and you're like Warren Tour, that they no longer maybe not providing any more of those paper cards or whatever that you could print off, that they may be giving you a chip or some sort, like a little plastic card. And I don't have an example ready, but if most of us know what I'm talking about is to where that it's like a little chip that fits in the purse or wallet to where that they're able to identify your information about your driver's license. So I know that that seems like I don't know if it's going to be coming by the year 2018, maybe by the year 2000, maybe by 2023 or something like that. But the types of technology that's there nowadays that you're like Warren Tour, that really, why does that have anything to do with whenever a student graduates? And I say, well, the student ID is the same way. That the way that they have it is toward it. If they have something new, they may have to train this person about how to use it. And sometimes you're like, are you pretty good on solving this stuff on your own? Like, well, I'll try my best, but still, that how many of us have any type of specific training about how to use online accounts? Even if whenever you ask for help, it seems like you were at the wrong place at the wrong time. Because I know with me, though, especially whenever it came to bank accounts, you're like, people say, well, that's your problem. You're on your own. I can, yeah, well, you recommend it, so you can also, pitch in and help, for any assistance that more like the customers may have as well. So that's just the way I think about those a lot of this online stuff. And if anybody were warrant or then I don't know if there's anything, any kind of tool related to getting married online, but if there was, then more likely anybody say that, yeah, well, how is the ring going to be able to fit on? But on the other hand, that they have right here, I'll talk about for accounts though, for like any type of college graduate, for Digital Go. And this right here, example right here of me, if I were to be what you call, on my senior year, maybe, if anybody say that you had to be a senior just to graduate, but still, after about maybe 1 year or 2 years completed, but still, that you set the goals to where that, maybe more likely by 2018, I have my bachelor's, and if you want to work hard, for your master's or so. But let's just say this was right here with me, as a student right here, and people constantly keep asking about as to where that, besides your work experience, that whenever you're going to be filling out any type of a source of online application, they're going to be asking you about when you're going to be due to graduate. And you're more likely ready to answer to where that what your major is and maybe about your grade book. And I could probably say that I have more answers about my grade book compared to which say when I'm going to be due to graduate. And it's like and I could probably say that you'll be between B's and C's. But I tell you one thing that with most of us, like for B's, but I tell you one, for B minus and then B plus, and along with the A minus, but still that a GPA score at about a 3.7 or so, but still that with anything about a grade book. Why is it that the grade book is not the most concerning compared to when a student's going to be ready to graduate? And I keep thinking as to where that those who do want to constantly keep asking me over and over again, and more likely they may get the same answers, or that they're going to get what you call the answers such as is to where that just not equitable. But on your hand, that with anything about what I'm doing, especially. And right here is like the blue and black right here, but for Digital Go. But anyway, well, I can say that's enough. But that's just the thing about with me about with accounts. If anybody say that, yeah, are you going to be going back to so getting back to the project for the gold monument? I know I put up numbers for sequel 16, but I was going to do sequel 17 today, but then I had take care of some other things. It's like of course we're watching the debate as well, but they haven't. One thing I did want to mention, of course, on the gold monument was talking about accounts, and more likely I'll be getting back to that later on. But what I do want to talk about now is about for any accounts is that for anybody that may want or that if we want to look at it is to like a wallet. And with the wallet, with this wallet that I'm talking about, contains a certain amount of, which I know if anybody were to want, well, you might not even have any money on it. It's on the account, but it's not on the same account. So you may have to, have about maybe, three different, login, three different sign-in data, just to be able to sign into three different accounts, just to be able to make a payment. If you're going to have if you're going to have an account with like about three different companies, like three different accounts with about 3 or 4 different servers, and that's just a thing is toward it, just to be able to do a transfer, especially. And they may ask, it's like, do you have to be signed on? And if you're going to be making a transfer or spending your money, and they may say is to where you don't necessarily have to be logged on, but still that with some of those accounts that they ask you to log on first before any action, any it's like a process that goes through, and as well as transactions that happen every time any updates or changes in the database. So that's just the thing about having an account, though, is that if anybody warrant or that that just think about it's like a desk. It's like a little desk where you whenever you get logged on, is that you have access to. You're able to keep updated with the information 24 hours a day. Just think of one thing that maybe you can't do online, and like one or two. Well, really, that if you're out of ink, then I don't think but still. That basically you're like saying this toward it. Yeah, people, a lot of them, that they want you to get an account with them just because they ask you to. And let's just say that, if they say pretty please, I can also include that here. And it seems like that's what they're saying, but I can't really judge too much at a time. So if anybody warns us toward pretty please, pretty please. Would you pretty please, do this? So it's like, think about it to where, if anybody warns us to where, yeah, that you're pretty please, and with like this, you're pretty please, you're pretty please. It's kind of written, yeah, I know it. It's kind of written, you kind of, yes, it's like a scrap, but anyway, but you have right here, I can go ahead and try to redo that here. I'll go ahead and step backwards. See here, go ahead and try to retype. I know I'm concerned on the time here, but I can also see here, pretty please. So if anybody warrant to where, yeah, if anybody says pretty please, when you're pretty please, can you sign up for for the electronic way of how to manage it? I'll go ahead and see pretty please. It looks good up there, I think. So if anybody, see here, go ahead, change this. Okay. All right, there. Pretty please. Does it look good there? Or just, maybe put it down here. But see, change that to, I know that it's like didn't have that prepared. But anyway, pretty please right there. So if anybody will want to, or yeah, pretty please, would you pretty please, sign up to get e-alerts as well as you do an online database, keep an update for what's going on. So that's just the thing is to where anybody that may want to where that, yeah, you may be offered discounts and you may be offered maybe specific training. So it's basically like, can you pretty please join the club to be called cool? If you want to be known as cool, man, you go ahead and join online. Join, get an account. Like, how you doing, miss? Like, well, won't you be cool? Pretty please. Pretty please. Could you join us? Get an account and join in the group, and then for anything that we're talking about, please join us and use the new service that what we offer. But the way I think about it, though, is that anything that's related to like what you call for Digital Go, especially. But anyway, but they have a talk about that with the Digital Go for graduating. If anybody wants to, or for whenever a student is going to be due to graduate, but still, that it's like knowing about for source for higher education. It's like for happy learning, everyone, and have a great